The morning sun rose over New York City like any other day in 2157, casting its golden rays over the bustling metropolis. Workers, dressed in business attire, rushed to their offices while flying cars zipped through the sky, weaving between towering skyscrapers. Space shuttles, sleek and steady, made their routine trips to the moon colony, ferrying goods and personnel between Earth and its nearest celestial neighbor. Humanity had finally achieved peace after centuries of conflict and turmoil. The scars of war were still visible in some places, but the world had learned to move forward, to work together, and to put the past behind them. Now humanity was taking its first cautious steps into the vast unknown of space exploration, dreaming of new worlds, new alliances, and a future beyond Earth. No one expected the massive shadows that suddenly darkened the skies. They arrived without warning, hundreds of alien ships, their dark hulls reflecting the morning sunlight like polished obsidian. The sheer size of the vessels was unimaginable. Their massive forms dwarfed the tallest skyscrapers, casting long, foreboding shadows across every major city on Earth. These ships were not just large, they were intimidating, an alien presence that seemed to blot out the sun. For a brief moment, the world stood still in disbelief, unsure of what they were witnessing. The alien ships positioned themselves directly above the major cities of Earth. New York, Tokyo, London, Los Angeles, Mumbai, all the great metropolises of the world were in their shadow. In the United Nations Space Command Center, deep within Earth's most secure facility, General James Miller stared at the holographic screens in disbelief. His hands clenched the edges of the table, as the weight of the situation began to sink in. The world was under attack. Any response to our communications? General Miller asked, his voice barely above a whisper, as if speaking too loudly would make the terrifying reality worse. No, sir, replied his communications officer, looking as grim as the general felt. They're receiving our signals, but they're choosing not to answer. The silence was deafening. For 17 minutes, Earth held its breath. And then, without warning, the first blast struck. A beam of intense blue energy lashed out, cutting through Tokyo's central district like a hot knife through butter. Buildings disintegrated in an instant, vaporized by the searing energy. The city's skyline was reduced to nothing, a momentary flash of destruction. Before anyone could process what had just happened, a similar beam struck Los Angeles, then London, then Mumbai. Dozens of cities worldwide were hit in rapid succession, their once proud structures crumbling in the wake of the alien assault. In Earth's orbit, the defense fleet, just 20 ships strong, scrambled to respond. But their attempts to retaliate were futile. The alien vessels effortlessly swatted aside Earth's most powerful ships, sending them crashing into space like insects brushing off a fly swatter. The alien shields were impervious to Earth's weaponry, and in mere moments the once mighty defense fleet was reduced to a cloud of debris. Back on Earth, panic spread like wildfire. People ran for shelter, unsure of where to turn or where to hide. Governments scrambled to act, but the alien forces were too powerful, their assault too overwhelming. Amid the chaos, a weak transmission finally broke through the interference. It was faint, crackling with static, but it was a message from a small alien ship hiding behind the moon. The voice of Captain First Light of the Outer Rim Alliance came through, steady despite the obvious distress. People of Earth, the transmission began, I am Captain First Light of the Outer Rim Alliance. What you face is the Galactic Council's containment fleet. They believe your species is too aggressive, too dangerous to join the Galactic Society. They fear your potential. This attack was planned months ago. I risk everything to tell you this, but my conscience demands it. The transmission continued, providing vital technical data about the Council's ships, their shield frequencies, weapon configurations, fleet movements. The information was precious, more valuable than gold. But before Captain First Light could provide any more details, the small ship exploded in a flash of light, destroyed by the overwhelming force of the Council's fleet. Down on Earth, the military moved quickly. In the Rocky Mountains, hidden deep beneath the Earth, massive blast doors opened, revealing a secret facility. Government officials, top scientists, and military leaders were rushed into the mountain base, their survival ensured by the knowledge that this was humanity's last line of defense. Inside Command Center Alpha, General Miller met with the surviving world leaders through secure holographic links. The atmosphere was tense, but there was an air of resolve. They think they can break us with their first strike, Miller said, his voice firm, unwavering. But humanity doesn't break. We adapt. We survive. And now, thanks to Captain First Light's sacrifice, we have something precious. Information? He turned to the table where engineers and scientists were already hard at work, analyzing the data Captain First Light had transmitted before his ship was destroyed. They were studying the alien technology, piecing together the puzzle that the invaders had left behind. The knowledge they had gathered could be the key to turning the tide of the war. They gave us their technology specs, Miller continued, pacing in front of the holographic screens. They thought we would be dead before we could use them. They don't understand humanity. Every time we've faced extinction, we've come back stronger. And now we have a chance to turn their own weapons against them. He stopped in front of the team, all eyes on him. Today we begin Project Phoenix. We'll take their technology, improve it, and turn it against them. They expect us to submit, to become just another failed civilization in their records. But we'll show them why humanity has survived every disaster we've ever faced. And when we're done, the Galactic Council will learn a harsh lesson about underestimating Earth. For the next 3 months, the underground facility was a beehive of activity. The mountain base buzzed with engineers and scientists, both human and the few friendly aliens who had defected to Earth's side. The work was grueling, but there was a sense of purpose that ran through the team. The invaders had made the mistake of thinking humanity would crumble. But instead they had awakened a sleeping giant. Dr. Thomas Reed, a lead engineer, stood in the middle of the crowded lab, holding up a twisted piece of alien metal. "Look at this," he said, showing it to his team. "This isn't just some strong material. This stuff is smart. The metal actually responds to damage by hardening itself." Across the room, computers hummed, analyzing the alien technology. What had once been incomprehensible was now beginning to make sense. What had once seemed impossible now seemed within reach. The team was no longer guessing. They were understanding. They had the tools to fight back. General Miller walked through the lab, surveying the work being done. He knew the stakes. The world was depending on them, and failure was not an option. They had to succeed not just for Earth, but for all of humanity's future. The work was just beginning, but Miller could feel it in his bones. Earth had been knocked down, but it was far from out. The war for survival had just begun, and humanity would fight back, using every tool at their disposal, using their ingenuity, their resilience, and their will to survive. The Council forces had thought they had crushed Earth's spirit. But in reality they had only awakened it. The real war was about to begin. And this time humanity would not be underestimated. The concept of working together, of combining forces and resources, had been unthinkable just months ago. Humanity had always been a fiercely independent species, with a history marred by conflict and division. But now, in the face of an existential threat, survival demanded it. The situation had changed drastically. The massive alien assault had shaken Earth to its core, and yet, in the ruins of their shattered cities, humanity had begun to rebuild, not just their cities but their very survival. The enemy had expected Earth to fall, to crumble under the pressure of their superior technology. But the Council's mistake was in underestimating humanity's ability to adapt, to learn, and to innovate in the face of destruction. General James Miller walked through the corridors of Command Center Alpha, his boots clicking against the steel floors. The air was thick with determination, and every individual within the underground facility knew the gravity of the situation. This was no longer just about surviving. They were fighting for their place in the galaxy, and they were preparing to strike back. As he passed the main research station, he stopped to check in with Dr. Thomas Reed, the lead scientist who had been at the forefront of analyzing the alien technology. "Progress report," Miller ordered, his voice steady but filled with the urgency of the moment. Dr. Reed looked up from his work, a look of focused excitement in his eyes. "Better than expected, sir. The Council made a huge mistake leaving their damaged ships behind. Every piece we recovered teaches us more. But here's the really interesting part," he said, stepping aside to give Miller a clear view of a holographic display. The image flickered for a moment before it solidified, revealing an alien engine that looked far more advanced than anything humanity had ever designed. "They focus on pure power," Dr. Reed explained, pointing at the glowing diagram. "Their ships are monstrous in their energy output, but we're finding ways to make their designs more efficient. In some cases, we're already improving their technology." Miller studied the display for a moment before turning back to Reed, a small smile tugging at the corners of his lips. The alien technology had been designed with raw power in mind, but it was the subtle and meticulous engineering of humanity that would turn the tide. They weren't just copying what they found, they were making it better. "How long until we can start building our own ships?" Miller asked, his voice carrying the weight of hope. Hope that humanity wasn't as far behind as the Council believed. Reed's eyes gleamed with excitement. "We already have, sir. Come see this." Miller followed Reed down a long corridor, passing several other research stations and laboratory rooms where scientists and engineers worked tirelessly. The air was electric with the potential of what they had accomplished. As they entered a massive underground hangar carved deep into the mountain, Miller's gaze was drawn to the vast space before him. Through reinforced glass windows he could see the first prototype of humanity's new warship, a ship that combined the best of both alien and human technologies. It was smaller than the Council vessels, but its sleek design gave it an elegance that belied its power. "We're calling it the Phoenix-class destroyer," Dr. Reed explained, pride evident in his voice. "It uses a hybrid drive system, part alien, part human. The Council ships are powerful, yes, but they waste enormous amounts of energy. Ours will be faster and more efficient." The general stood there for a moment, taking in the sight of the ship. It was everything they had hoped for and more. It was a symbol of humanity's ability to learn from the enemy, to adapt, and to overcome. But it wasn't just the ship's design that filled Miller with hope, it was the crew that would fly it. Across the facility, in a series of virtual reality chambers, military personnel were training. The data from Captain First Light, the alien who had risked everything to provide Earth with the Council's technological secrets, had included basic ship controls for their vessels. Though human pilots had never flown alien ships before, they were learning quickly. The Council had expected humanity to be clumsy, to fumble with technology that was far beyond them. But the humans weren't just learning, it was in their nature to adapt and excel. The real breakthrough, however, came from an unexpected source. In a secure communication room, intelligence officers had been monitoring the Council's communications. What they discovered was a game-changer. The Council's ships relied heavily on automated systems and preset battle protocols. Over the centuries, they had become complacent, relying on these systems to do most of the thinking for them. They hadn't fought a real war in centuries, and their tactics had become predictable. One intelligence officer, speaking in low tones, shared his findings with General Miller. "Their ships are powerful, sir, but their tactics are repetitive. They've gotten lazy. Their patrols are routine, easy to track. They believe we're nothing more than primitive savages, hiding in the ruins of our cities." Miller nodded, his mind racing with the implications. The Council had underestimated humanity at every turn. They thought the attack would break their spirit, that Earth would surrender to their overwhelming power. But instead, humanity was using their failure as a springboard for resurgence. "They've reduced their forces by 60% since the invasion," Miller observed, turning his attention to the global map displayed on the wall. Dots representing human bases flickered across the screen, marking the locations of underground hideaways, hidden factories, and secret military facilities. The Council had made the mistake of assuming victory too soon. While they thought Earth was broken, humanity was transforming itself, developing new technologies and new tactics at a pace that astonished even their most optimistic planners. With the current resources, Miller was told, Earth could build 50 ships within 6 months. The ships wouldn't be as large as the Council vessels, but they would be more advanced in many ways. They weren't merely copying alien technology, they were improving upon it. "We're not just copying," Reed had said earlier. "We're improving." Miller's thoughts were interrupted by an update from the underground shipyards. Hidden in the Himalayan mountains, deep in the Amazon rainforest, and buried beneath the deserts of Africa, more shipyards were operational. Humanity was using the Council's own arrogance against them. Their sensors, designed to detect only the technology they recognized, had overlooked the hybrid systems humanity was building. Earth's fleet was growing and the enemy hadn't even noticed. "How many ships can we build?" Miller had asked earlier, but now the answer seemed almost too good to be true. 50, Reed had replied, within 6 months. "They may not be as large as the Council's ships, but they'll be faster, more efficient, and packed with advanced technology." Miller smiled to himself, watching as the final adjustments were being made to the prototype ship. The general could already feel the tides turning. The Council had assumed Earth would fall. Instead, humanity had learned from their mistakes, honed its strengths, and found new ways to fight back. "Shadow operation," Miller ordered. "It's time to test our fleet." The first full squadron of Earth's new warships was ready for deployment. In the vast underground hangar deep beneath the Australian outback, Commander Anna West surveyed her squadron, standing tall among the ships that represented humanity's greatest achievement. Unlike the bulky, lumbering Council vessels, these ships were sleek, angular, and designed for both power and stealth. "Squadron 1, all systems check complete," reported the chief engineer. "FTL drives are functioning better than expected." The crew had trained for months, preparing for this moment. They had trained in virtual environments, run simulations, and tested their abilities. But now it was real. They had only one shot at surprising the Council, and they couldn't afford to fail. Commander West climbed aboard the lead ship, the Spirit of Earth. The bridge was a marvel of engineering, with holographic displays and neural interface controls that responded to the slightest thought. Her crew took their positions and she addressed them one final time. "We only get one shot at this," she said, her voice calm but firm. "Let's make it count." As the engines of the Spirit of Earth hummed to life, the mission was clear. Humanity wasn't just surviving anymore, they were preparing to strike back. And the Council would soon learn that underestimating Earth had been their greatest mistake. The moment had arrived. The massive underground hangar doors opened silently, one by one, as humanity's new fleet began to lift off. Each ship hovered momentarily, its engines humming with a new power, before slipping into the night sky. These were not the same ships that had been so easily swatted aside by the Council's superior technology. The human fleet was different now, more dangerous. The stealth systems that powered the ships were a direct improvement on the alien technology, a critical adaptation humanity had made to counter the overwhelming might of the galactic invaders. These systems made the ships invisible to the Council's sensors, an advantage the humans had engineered from the wreckage of the Council's own fleet. The alien sensors, designed specifically to detect their own ships, were blind to these hybrid vessels. Above the vast expanse of Australia, a Council patrol ship drifted lazily across the sky. Its crew, bored and complacent, barely even glanced at their instruments as they completed their routine sweep of the region. They had no reason to be on high alert, their mission was uneventful, and they had come to believe that Earth's resistance was a thing of the past. The ships had made their calculations, ensuring there were no threats left to confront. As the patrol continued its course, it was completely unaware of the 5 human warships that silently slipped past them, climbing higher into the night. The alien ships moved with the unhurried confidence of an occupation force that thought itself invincible, never suspecting the storm that was about to break upon them. Phase 1 complete, Commander Anna West reported from the lead ship, Spirit of Earth, her voice steady but filled with anticipation. She had seen the years of struggle, the months of preparation, and the sacrifices that had brought them to this moment. Now, the fruits of humanity's labor were on the verge of being tested in the most dangerous way possible. Moving to test zone. The squadron, moving as one, accelerated toward the far side of the moon. It was the perfect place to test their weapons and faster-than-light, FTL, drives, out of the Council's reach and away from prying eyes. As they moved farther from Earth, Commander West couldn't help but feel a rush of pride. These ships, and the technology that powered them, represented the culmination of humanity's resilience and ingenuity. They were about to show the galaxy that underestimating Earth was a grave mistake. "Weapons test beginning," announced the tactical officer, his voice calm but urgent. "Targeting debris field?" The first test of humanity's new weapons would be a display of raw power. The team had taken the Council's energy weapons and made a significant improvement. Where the Council's weapons were powerful but blunt, humanity had modified them with rotating frequencies that could bypass alien shields. The resulting weapon was a finely tuned instrument, designed for efficiency and precision. The target was a collection of space junk. Nothing of value, just a small piece of debris that would serve as a demonstration of the weapon's power. The shot was fired, and in an instant the target was vaporized. The alien shields that might have absorbed a normal shot were no match for humanity's modifications. The energy beam cut through the debris like a hot knife through butter, disintegrating it in a flash of blue light. "FTL drive spooling up," reported the engineering officer. "All systems nominal." This was it, the moment of truth. The Council had long believed that humanity was decades away from developing faster-than-light travel. They had no idea that humanity had already cracked the code and was ready to jump to the stars. The FTL technology that powered their ships had been a problem for both the Council and humanity. Alien ships could jump vast distances, but their drives caused turbulence, leaving them with a bumpy and unpredictable ride. Human engineers, however, had found a way to smooth out the turbulence and make the FTL jumps more precise. "Execute jump," West ordered, her voice firm. There was a brief moment of stillness, and then the stars outside the window blurred, stretching into long streaks of light. The ship jolted, and in an instant the squadron appeared near Jupiter. The jump had been flawless. Smoother than any Council ship could have managed. The technology had worked. "Jump successful," West reported back to Earth, a smile creeping across her face. All ships functioning perfectly. The engineers had done it. They had solved the turbulence problems that had plagued the Council's own FTL drives. In a single, smooth leap, humanity's fleet had reached the farthest point in the solar system, a testament to their ingenuity. The Council had believed that humanity was too primitive to even comprehend the technology that powered their ships, but humanity had surpassed them. Begin Phase 2, General Miller ordered from Command Center Alpha. Commence hit-and-run operations. For the next week, Council patrols began to report strange incidents. Supply ships vanished without a trace. Communication relays went dark. Small outposts reported sightings of phantom ships that would appear on radar only to vanish before they could be identified. These mysterious occurrences were written off as malfunctions or errors by the Council commanders. Their arrogance had blinded them. They could not fathom that these were not technical glitches but the work of the very humans they had dismissed as a threat. Every patrol we destroy, every supply ship we capture, makes us stronger, Commander West said to her executive officer as she reviewed the latest mission data. The reports confirmed what they had hoped. The Council was growing increasingly confused. They were trying to rationalize the mysterious events, dismissing them as equipment malfunctions or crew mistakes. The Council had no idea that their enemy was not some primitive species hiding in the ruins of their cities. They were facing an enemy that had learned from their mistakes, adapted, and turned the tables. The officer smiled, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. When do we launch the main attack? West turned to look at the battle plans displayed on her screen. Soon. We're almost ready. The Council had thought that they could break humanity's spirit with their overwhelming power. Instead, their invasion had forced humanity to reach for the stars, to push past the boundaries of what they once thought possible. The final phase of their revenge was drawing near, and humanity was poised to strike back with a vengeance. The attack began at dawn with an unprecedented show of force. Across the globe, hidden hangar doors opened simultaneously, revealing the full scale of humanity's response. Hundreds of Earth's new warships rose from underground bases, their stealth systems making them invisible to the Council's sensors. Operation Lightning Strike was underway. In orbit, the Council's fleet was caught completely off guard. The first sign of trouble came when their flagship, the heart of their fleet, suddenly exploded, split in half by weapons they had never seen coming. Commander West's voice crackled over the fleet's comms, a clear command cutting through the chaos. All ships, execute attack pattern Phoenix, she ordered. Show them what humanity can do. The battle for Earth's orbit had begun, and humanity's new ships, armed with the most advanced technology in the galaxy, appeared from nowhere. The Council's fleet scrambled to respond, but their automated defense systems designed for large traditional battles were ineffective against the smaller, faster Earth vessels. Target their communication centers first, General Miller ordered from Command Center Alpha. Don't let them call for help. The Council's orbital command station erupted into flames as 3 Phoenix-class destroyers hit it from different angles. The alien commanders had no time to react before their communication systems were completely disabled, leaving them unable to send distress signals to their homeworld. The Council's vast, seemingly invincible fleet was faltering. On the ground, Council troops looked up in confusion as their support ships began to fall from the sky. Years of easy occupation had made them soft and complacent. They never expected resistance, let alone a coordinated, multi-pronged assault. At a Council ground base near the ruins of Paris, an alien commander shouted orders, frantic to organize a defense. How are they doing this? He demanded. Their technology is primitive. His question was answered when a human strike team breached the base's walls, charging forward with incredible speed. The soldiers wore powered armor reverse-engineered from Council designs but enhanced with humanity's ingenuity. Where the Council relied on brute force, humanity's soldiers used agility and flexibility to their advantage. The liberation of Earth moved with shocking speed. The Council forces, used to overwhelming numbers and technological superiority, found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. Humanity's ingenuity and resilience had awakened a force the Council could not comprehend. The fight for Earth had only just begun. The battle to free Earth had been swift, but the war was far from over. In the aftermath of the initial strike, humanity's forces were pushing forward with a relentless determination that shocked the Council. The attack patterns they used defied traditional military doctrine, weaving through space in complex and unpredictable movements that alien commanders couldn't anticipate. Ground forces adopted guerrilla tactics, small, highly mobile teams using asymmetric warfare to confuse and destabilize the Council's rigid command structure. Every counterattack by the Council was met with a level of efficiency and innovation that had previously been unimaginable. By midday, the Council's orbital defenses had collapsed entirely. The Council's fleet, once so powerful and dominant, was reeling. Surviving alien ships tried to flee, but humanity's engineers had made sure they wouldn't escape. The improved faster-than-light FTL interdiction fields, a product of humanity's careful study of the Council's own technology, trapped the fleeing ships in a web of static interference. The Council, accustomed to overwhelming their enemies with brute force, was now trapped in Earth's orbit, unable to retreat or reinforce their positions. In New York, a Council general, leader of the forces responsible for occupying Earth, surrendered his entire command as human ships descended from the clouds, their weapons trained on his headquarters. The general's troops, expecting to be met with savage retribution, were instead surprised when the human forces moved in with precision, capturing them without any unnecessary destruction. A human officer, standing at the head of the advancing forces, addressed the captured general. "We're not like you," he said coldly. "We don't destroy those who surrender." As Commander West's flagship, the Spirit of Earth, led the full battle group securing the last major Council installation near Mount Fuji, an important discovery was made. The ship's sensors officer had cracked the Council's central database. "Commander," he reported, "we've accessed their central database. We now have the coordinates of every Council military base, including their high command." West immediately contacted General Miller back at the command center. "Sir, we can track them all the way home." Miller, standing at the heart of Earth's defense, studied the data with his staff. The Council had made a grave error in leaving behind detailed records on their captured command ships. They never imagined that humans would be able to not only access their computers but also decipher their language and systems. It was a mistake that was proving catastrophic. "How long until we can secure Earth completely?" Miller asked, his voice steady but filled with urgency. "At our current pace, we'll have full control within the next 12 hours, replied his tactical officer. "The Council forces are surrendering faster than we can process them. They've never faced an enemy that can fight back effectively." Miller nodded, his expression grim. "Prepare the fleet for deep space operations. The Council needs to learn that attacking Earth was their biggest mistake." As the sun set on the first day of humanity's counterattack, Earth was almost entirely free. The Council's occupation forces had been utterly defeated in less than 24 hours. In the ruins of their main base, captured Council officers watched in disbelief as human ships patrolled the skies above them. One turned to another and muttered, "The Council was wrong about them. We didn't contain a primitive species. We awakened something far more dangerous." Commander West stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching as Earth's cities, once dark and silent under Council rule, began to light up again. It was a symbol of humanity's triumph, of the resilience that had carried them through the darkest days of occupation. Her crew was ready, Earth was ready. "All ships," she announced, "prepare for Phase 2. The Council had believed they could break humanity's spirit with their invasion. Instead, they had forced humanity to become stronger, to reach for the stars. Now, it was time for the Council to learn the true cost of their mistake. A week after Earth's liberation, humanity launched its revenge. 300 ships from Earth's newly formed fleet gathered in high orbit, their black hulls reflecting the sunlight as they prepared for the next stage of their campaign. Each vessel was equipped with improved weapons, armor, and technology far beyond what the Council had ever thought possible for a species like humanity. The Council, for all their technological superiority, had underestimated their enemy, and they were about to pay for it. General Miller stood on the bridge of Earth's flagship, humanity's pride, addressing the crews of all 300 ships via the neural communication network. His voice was calm, commanding. "Today we take the fight to their homes. Show them why you don't attack Earth." Commander West's battle group led the first wave of the attack. Their target was the Council's largest military base in the Oran sector, a fortress in the heart of Council space. The aliens had no idea they were coming. The Council had grown complacent, their arrogance blinding them to the real threat that humanity posed. "All ships, execute FTL jump on my mark," West commanded, her voice steady. 3, 2, 1, jump. In an instant, the entire fleet vanished from Earth's orbit in a flash of light, reappearing near the Council's base. The surprise was absolute. Alarm bells rang across the alien station as the Council scrambled to respond. They were unprepared for an assault this fast, this coordinated. "Begin attack pattern thunderstorm," West ordered, the command sharp and clear. The human fleet split into smaller groups, attacking from multiple directions in a way that completely disrupted the Council's defensive formations. Unlike the rigid, predictable battle formations used by the Council, humanity's ships moved unpredictably, like dancers weaving through enemy fire. The council commanders, still in shock at the speed of the attack, shouted orders, but it was already too late. The command center of the council's base exploded in a spectacular flash of light as 20 Earth ships concentrated their fire on the heart of the alien installation. The explosion was so powerful that it sent shockwaves through space, a testament to humanity's newfound military prowess. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out. Humanity struck multiple council systems simultaneously, overwhelming their defenses with a combination of superior tactics, faster ships, and weapons that outclassed the council's own. In the Century sector, a council defense fleet found itself trapped between two human battle groups. The superior numbers of the council forces meant nothing against Earth's better tactics and technology. Their shields are adapting, a panicked council officer screamed as human weapons sliced through their defenses. How are they doing this? The answer was simple. Human engineers had designed weapons that changed frequency faster than council shields could adapt. It was the kind of innovation that came from thinking outside the box, something the council had long since forgotten how to do. But not all aliens fought against humanity. Several species, impressed by Earth's resilience and the fair treatment of prisoners, began secretly helping humanity's fleet. They provided vital intelligence about council movements, weaknesses, and secret vulnerabilities in the council's defense grids. One such ally, a council science officer, transmitted crucial information that allowed human hackers to exploit the council's automated defense protocols. The council had relied on automated systems for far too long, never imagining that anyone would be able to disrupt their communications or understand their technology well enough to use it against them. Using this intelligence, human fleets began to disrupt council communications, causing chaos across their ranks. Entire defense fleets found themselves responding to phantom attacks, while Earth's ships struck their real targets, vulnerable council outposts and critical installations. At a major council shipyard, alien workers watched in astonishment as human ships executed maneuvers their own vessels couldn't replicate. The council, for all its power, was being outclassed by a species they had once dismissed as primitive. The tide of the war had irrevocably turned. Humanity had not only liberated Earth but had also begun to exact a terrifying revenge on the council, one they would never forget. The aliens had learned that they could not conquer a species with the tenacity and innovation of humanity. And now, they were learning that the greatest mistake they ever made was underestimating Earth. The war was far from over, but the Council had already lost. For years, the Council had dismissed humanity as a primitive species. Their arrogance and technological superiority had led them to underestimate Earth's inhabitants. They believed that humans were a weak, insignificant species, one whose territory and resources could easily be conquered and absorbed. But as humanity's fleet surged through Council defenses, they quickly learned the truth. Humans were anything but primitive. The Council's engineers had long thought that Earth was a backwater, unworthy of their attention. Now they were witnessing firsthand the result of humanity's determination, ingenuity, and relentless spirit. Human ships, though smaller in size, were swift and deadly. An alien engineer, who had spent years designing and refining the Council's own vessels, observed with awe how humanity had taken their technology and made it better in mere months. "Their ships are smaller," he remarked, "but they're faster. They've taken our technology and improved upon it in ways we never thought possible." The Council had been wrong about humanity in every sense. The tide of war began to turn rapidly. For the Council, accustomed to easy victories against weaker species, this sudden reversal was incomprehensible. They found themselves outmatched at every turn by human innovation and tactical flexibility. Their rigid military structures began to unravel. Commanders who had long relied on tradition and outdated strategies now faced an adversary who could think on their feet, adapt to the chaos of battle, and outmaneuver them at every turn. Inside the command center aboard humanity's pride, General Miller pored over the latest battle reports. In the span of just 1 week, humanity's forces had captured 30 major Council bases. But what was even more important than the rapid military victories were the intelligence reports that revealed the Council's corruption. "Look at this," Miller's intelligence officer said, displaying a series of captured files on the screen. "The Council didn't attack us because they thought we were dangerous. They attacked us because they wanted our resources, and they thought we'd be an easy target." This revelation sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. For years, the Council had maintained its iron grip over countless worlds by using fear, lies, and manipulation. They had deceived many species into believing that humanity was a weak, primitive race. Now that illusion was shattered, and other species that had long been intimidated by the Council began to question their own leadership. The Council's authority, built on a foundation of deception, began to crumble. Commander West stood on the bridge of humanity's pride, watching as yet another Council station surrendered. The station's once imposing defenses had fallen, crumbling under the weight of humanity's relentless advance. "They thought they could break our spirit," West said to her crew, her voice calm but filled with pride. "Instead, we've shown the galaxy who we really are." As the Council's empire fell, system by system, humanity was proving that they were not just a species that could defend itself but a species that could change the entire balance of power in the galaxy. The Council had believed that they could extinguish humanity's flame, but instead, they had stoked a fire that was now burning brighter than ever. The Council's home system, once thought to be impenetrable, was humanity's next target. 3 artificial rings of defense satellites surrounded the capital planet, and a fleet of 1,000 Council warships patrolled the space between them. No enemy had ever breached this formidable defense perimeter. But humanity was about to prove that their power had limits, and those limits were about to be tested in the most dramatic way. Earth's combined fleet, now fully mobilized and 500 ships strong, dropped out of faster-than-light (FTL) travel just outside the Council home system's edge. These 500 ships represented humanity's full military might, a force that was equal parts innovation, adaptability, and pure willpower. At the head of the fleet, humanity's pride led the formation, a symbol of everything humanity had fought for. General Miller stood on the command deck, his face stern and focused. "Send the message across all frequencies in every language known to the galaxy," he ordered. His voice was calm, but there was an undeniable edge of authority in his words. "Earth's demands are clear. Surrender now or face the consequences of your actions." The Council's response came quickly, their pride wounded by the very idea of being threatened by what they considered to be a lesser species. "How dare these primitive humans threaten us?" a Council representative bellowed. "We will crush them like the insects they are." Miller nodded to Commander West, who stood at his side. "Show them how primitive we are," he said. The battle was about to begin, but humanity had a trick up its sleeve that the Council never saw coming. While the Council focused all their sensors and weapons on Earth's main fleet, smaller, stealthy human ships had already infiltrated the Council's defense grid. These ships, invisible to the Council's advanced detection systems, quietly worked their way inside the 3 rings of defense satellites. At Miller's signal, these stealth ships launched a surprise attack from within the Council's own defenses, sabotaging the very satellites that had been designed to protect their home world. Chaos erupted as Council forces scrambled to respond, their automated defense systems in complete disarray. The once impenetrable ring of defense now lay in tatters, and the Council's prideful military was caught completely off guard. "Execute Operation Checkmate," Commander West ordered. Earth's fleet split into 3 waves, each using different, unpredictable attack patterns. The Council commanders, trained to fight using their ancient battle manuals and rigid formations, found themselves completely unable to adapt to humanity's fluid, dynamic tactics. It was a fight the Council could not win. On the Council's capital planet, the high leaders watched in horror as their defenses disintegrated before their eyes. "Impossible," one shouted, unable to comprehend what was happening. "Their technology is years behind ours." A junior Council member who had been watching the battle unfold, spoke up, his voice trembling. "No," he said quietly, "they just stopped innovating. While we relied on our old ways, they took our technology and improved it. That's why we're losing." As the space surrounding the capital planet turned into a graveyard of Council ships, human vessels, though smaller and less numerous, struck from unexpected angles. Their improved weapons, designed to cut through alien shields like paper, left nothing but destruction in their wake. Commander West's voice rang out across the battlefield, carrying a command that would seal the Council's fate. "All ships, push forward. Don't let them regroup." The Council's mighty defense fleet, the pride of their military, found itself trapped. Humanity's ships had somehow hacked into the Council's navigation systems, causing complete chaos in their formations. The Council's centuries of technological superiority meant nothing against humanity's relentless determination and adaptability. In the Council chambers, panic spread like wildfire. The leaders who had once ordered Earth's destruction now saw the true cost of their arrogance. As human forces breached the final defense line, the Council's high command realized they had made a grave mistake. "We should have listened to the warnings," one Council member admitted, his voice full of regret. "The report said humans were different. They would either be our greatest allies or our most dangerous enemies. Now, the council leaders had no choice but to face the consequences of their actions. Earth's fleet surrounded their capital planet, weapons trained on every major military installation and government building. But despite the overwhelming victory, General Miller gave an order that showed humanity's true strength. "We don't kill needlessly," he announced over the planet's communication systems. "Surrender and face justice for your crimes." In the council chamber, the truth of their situation finally sank in. They had attacked Earth, believing humans to be primitive savages. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, one that had not only matched their technology but had improved it. The head of the council, his pride shattered, activated the communication channel to send a final, desperate message. "We surrender," he said, his voice filled with defeat. Human troops, clad in advanced powered armor, entered the council chambers to arrest the once mighty leaders. They had expected execution, but instead they would be tried for their crimes. Commander West, walking through the council's great hall now under human control, issued a final order: search their records. "We need everything they've got." Humanity had not only defeated the council, they had dismantled the empire built on lies and fear. Now the galaxy would know the truth. The council had been wrong and humanity was here to stay. The files that humanity had uncovered from the remnants of the council's archives revealed a dark and horrifying truth. Earth was not the first world the council had attacked. Far from it. Earth was the first species to fight back successfully, but humanity's victory was only a small piece of a much larger and more brutal story. The council had waged war against countless civilizations across the galaxy, destroying or enslaving them in the name of their containment policy. Dozens of once thriving worlds had been annihilated, their populations wiped out or subjugated by the council's ruthless forces. General Miller stood in the council's main chamber, now the symbol of humanity's triumph. The room, once the seat of power for the council, was silent as representatives from all species who had once been oppressed by the council gathered to hear the human commander speak. It was clear to everyone present that this was not just a military victory, it was the dawn of a new era. The siege of the council had been successful, but this was only the beginning. Humanity had proven to the galaxy that they were not just a primitive species to be conquered, but one capable of reshaping the entire balance of power. And they were ready to do just that. "Send word to Earth," General Miller ordered. "The war is over, but our real work has just begun." A year had passed since the council's surrender, and the galaxy had transformed beyond recognition. The Great Hall, once the place where the council had ruled with an iron fist, now hosted representatives from every known species. Many of these species had previously been excluded from the council's deliberations, silenced by the oppressive regime that had held sway for centuries. But now the hall was filled with voices of unity, cooperation, and a shared commitment to building a new galaxy, a galaxy built on principles of justice, fairness, and mutual respect. General Miller, now Earth's representative on the newly formed Galactic Assembly, stood before the gathered species, his voice steady and resolute. "Today marks the first anniversary of the council's fall," he said, his words carrying weight across the room. "But we are not here to celebrate a victory. We are here to celebrate a new beginning." The changes were immediately apparent. Where once massive warships had patrolled the galaxy, enforcing the council's will through fear and intimidation, humanity's vision of a better future had replaced them. Joint patrol fleets, made up of members from different species, now worked together to ensure peace and stability across the galaxy. These fleets, rather than imposing a harsh and authoritarian rule, protected trade routes, responded to natural disasters, and promoted cooperation between formerly hostile worlds. Human technological advancements, once thought impossible by the council, had been shared freely with other species. As a result, the standard of living had risen across hundreds of worlds, and scientific progress had accelerated at an unprecedented rate. Commander West, who had led humanity's military efforts against the council, now stood at the helm of the new Galactic Defense Force. She had revolutionized military doctrine, proving that size and strength were no longer the determining factors in a successful defense. The old council believed that bigger ships meant better defense, she explained to a group of alien officers during a training session. "We've shown that innovation and adaptability are what truly matter in battle." Perhaps the most significant change, however, was the new approach to emerging civilizations. The council had operated under a brutal containment policy, attacking and subjugating worlds they deemed unworthy of joining their empire. Humanity, however, had a different vision. Instead of conquest, Earth introduced a program of careful contact and guidance for developing worlds. General Miller addressed the assembly, his voice full of conviction. We remember how it felt to be attacked without warning, he said. No developing world should ever face that fear again. We will help them advance on their own terms at their own pace. The former council leaders, now facing trial for their war crimes, watched in disbelief as their empire crumbled around them. The species they had once dismissed as primitive were now leading the galaxy in technological innovation, fair governance, and peaceful coexistence. Earth had not just defeated the council, they had shown the galaxy an entirely new way to rule, through cooperation, innovation, and respect, not fear and control. Orbiting Earth was a massive space station, the Galactic Exchange Center, which had become a symbol of this new age. It hosted scientists, engineers, and researchers from thousands of worlds, all sharing knowledge and working together on new discoveries. Former council scientists, once forced to hide their knowledge for fear of retribution, now openly contributed their expertise to the collective good. One former council scientist, reflecting on humanity's impact, admitted, "Humans taught us something important. When you share knowledge instead of hoarding it, everyone advances faster." The changes weren't limited to technology. Humanity's rise had sparked a cultural revolution across the galaxy. Species that had once feared and distrusted each other for centuries now found themselves working side by side. The rigid hierarchies that had characterized the council era crumbled as merit and achievement replaced privilege and status. On a distant world that had faced a council invasion just 2 years earlier, human ships arrived, not carrying weapons but teachers and engineers. "We know what it's like to face a more advanced enemy," a human ambassador explained. "We're here to help you advance on your own terms, not ours." The galaxy's military structure, too, had been completely reformed. No longer were there vast invasion fleets focused solely on conquest. Instead, smaller, more efficient defense forces were established to maintain peace, protect trade routes, and assist with humanitarian efforts. Commander West's tactical innovations, which had proven so successful in defeating the Council, became standard training for all crews across the galaxy. The old Council used fear to maintain order, she told a group of new recruits. "We maintain peace through mutual respect and cooperation." As General Miller reviewed reports from across the galaxy, he saw the fruits of humanity's work. Trade had increased by 300%. Scientific discoveries were happening at an unprecedented rate. Conflicts between species, which had once seemed inevitable, had dropped to historic lows. "This is what happens when you unite people instead of dividing them," Miller said to his staff. "The Council thought they could break humanity's spirit. Instead, we showed them a better way to govern." After a session of the Galactic Assembly, a young alien representative approached Miller, her eyes filled with gratitude and admiration. "My world was one of the first the Council attacked," she said. "We submitted because we thought resistance was impossible. But you proved us wrong." Miller smiled warmly. "The Council's mistake was thinking that attacking Earth would destroy us," he said. "Instead, it forced us to become stronger, to innovate faster, to think differently. But our greatest strength wasn't our technology or tactics. It was our ability to forgive and move forward." The young representative was curious. "What do you mean?" she asked. "We could have destroyed the Council worlds," Miller replied. "We chose not to. Instead, we chose to help them change, to help them build something better." As the galactic day ended, ships of all designs and origins moved peacefully through space, traveling between hundreds of worlds where beings of every species now worked together in harmony. The time of fear and oppression was over. Earth had not just defeated the Council, they had replaced their rule of fear with something far more powerful: hope. And in doing so, humanity had changed the galaxy forever. The old Council was gone, its empire disbanded. The galaxy was no longer ruled by tyranny, but by a new vision of cooperation, equality, and progress. And humanity, the once primitive species the Council had sought to destroy, was now at the forefront of this new age, an age where knowledge was shared, peace was maintained through mutual respect, and all species had a place at the table. The Council had made the mistake of underestimating humanity, and in doing so they had helped give birth to a new era, one in which Earth would lead the way not through force but through the power of hope and unity.